Hello, ladies. Good evening. How are you all doing? I was having some technical difficulties, but I think I'm in business now. Let me see if yeah. Okay, we have a couple minutes. I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes and give everyone a chance to jump on, and I will start.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Lorna. This is Lavilia. Let me turn this down.
Okay.
Okay, quick question. If I'm on the computer, I'm trying to see which, as far as communicating with you.
What do you mean?
Because now I'm on the speakerphone, but I can hear my echo on the computer.
You may want to mute the computer, or you can mute both of them actually. But if you want to communicate, if you want to communicate with me, you can just unmute the phone, but keep the computer muted.
Okay.
Okay, so it is 7 o'clock. So Lavilia, is that better?
Yes. So I muted the computer. So now I'm waiting to, I guess, see you on the computer or see the PowerPoint. Does it show me logged in?
Yeah. So you can't see me on your computer?
No, not yet.
Diana, can you see me? Can you see me, Diana?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it says Diana's iPad, and I was like, "Who is Diana?" But because I thought it was going to be your name on there, so I don't know how.
It's showing everyone who's in the class.
Okay, I just have to I'm gonna log off and log back on.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the screen share and get started with our PowerPoint. Okay, so good evening, ladies. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with our class. This is our Turn Your Wounds into Words and Your Battle into a Book, because my prayer and my desire is by the end of the class, which is actually Thursday, really I'm hoping you've already started writing. I know some of you have. But the purpose of the class is to help you and give you the tools needed to tell your story effectively. So this is day 3. I did not put the hashtag, but it is hashtag Lorna Teaches Writing. So whenever you post anything about the writing class, which I really, really, really hope you do, because I am still trying to get people to sign up for October. So as we know, word of mouth is the greatest form of advertisement. We've already seen that. So I'm asking you to help me build this class by sharing your experience, sharing your reviews, your critiques, whatever it is you may have with your social media family and friends, and encourage them if you know someone who wants to write. I will say that this session may be a little shorter, because a lot of the time I wanted to use a lot of time going over your assignments. And I know we all have busy lives, so, and it wasn't, it's fine that a lot of people didn't get to turn theirs in. I did get a few, and the people who did turn theirs in, the advantage of that was that they were able to receive feedback on what they had written. So I emailed those back out earlier today. So if you have not checked your email and you did submit your assignment, then look for that. It should be in your inbox. If not, let me know and I'll resend it. I just wanted you to see what a critique looks like on your own writing. And I also wanted to ask questions and give you tips to help you as you continue building your story. So because I didn't want to use your assignments anyway as a guide, but I did want to talk about some things that I saw that was common amongst all of your writing. But like I said, I received a few of those. So I'll talk about the main two things that I did see before I forget. And I reached out to a couple of my clients, and they gave me permission to use their critiques and their writing as an example, so that I can show you what an edit looks like, and kind of go through their writing so you can see some common mistakes that they made because they're new writers, and that I've seen with some of the writing samples that I've received. So again, I did not, want you to think that I was expecting this beautifully written piece, because like I told you last week, my rough drafts aren't beautifully written. That does not happen until I go back in and critique it and edit it again. So two things that I really picked up on, not only with your writing samples that you sent me, but also with my clients, were, first thing is formatting. If you're using Microsoft Word, I am going to go in and I am going to show you how to format your document, so that when you do work with it, or when you do send it to a professional editor, it will already be in the right formatting, so you won't have to worry about going back and redoing that. Also, paragraph lengths. I noticed that a lot of you, a lot of you and my former clients write very, very, very long paragraphs. So we have to figure out how to break those up, because it just reads better. And I have an example of that on here. So actually, before we get into this, I'm going to end this and go into Microsoft Word, because I want you to see how to format your document. Okay, so what you'll do, the first thing you're going to do is go into paragraphs. So you see paragraphs right here. You're going to click this and go into paragraphs. Now your spacing, for some reason, the default spacing is multiple and eight spaces after. So what you would do is put that to 0, and line spacing is double. All editors like your manuscript sent to them double spaced. Double space 12 font times New Roman. So that's double space. We've done the double space. And up here you see special. You will click special, first line, and it automatically goes to 0.5, which is where you want it. That is whenever you click return, enter to go to the next line, it automatically indents. So you're not pressing tab, because that's called a hard tab. And a lot of when you're uploading like your ebooks and all of that, they don't like hard tabs. So you have to do first C special, you do first line and 0.5. And I will send that to you in a document. Again, you're double spacing and you're tabbing 0.5. So you should not have to hit tab. You just hit return or enter and it automatically tabs for you. So that's all you're going to do in paragraphs. In layout, let's see, layout. I'm sorry, it's moving oh, here it is. Page setup. It should be already set. Yeah, your margins and everything are already set to 1 inch. And the paper and everything is already set. So you don't need to do anything in that. The only thing you would need to do is when you go to paragraph. That's how you're setting up your document. So you won't need to do anything else. So as you can see, let me show you. I'm just going to do some random words, not even words. Okay, so that's already tabbed. Okay, so when I do return, see, it automatically tabs it. So I don't have to do tab. And it's already set to 0.5. Does anyone have any questions about how your document should be set up? Okay, so now I'm going to go back into the PowerPoint. I'm sorry, everything is, okay. So this is one of my clients' PowerPoint. And this is what, I'm sorry, document, manuscript. So this is her rough draft. This is what she sent to me. And I realized that, like I said, all of my clients are fresh writers. They've never written before. So I'm revamping and revising my program. And I'm hoping that a lot more people come to me before they actually start writing, because that way we can go through like I'm going through with you all and catch these little things that they're messing up with before they start writing everything. So this is her original version. I'm going to read it, and then you're going to see the editing that I did, and then we will reread the revised version. So her original version, we literally stayed on the beach all day. I was so drained by the sun that all I wanted to do was to shout. I'm sorry, let me start over, because I should have told you that her book is about surviving the flood of 2016. So you'll know what she's talking about. So it's about surviving the flood. So this piece isn't about the flood. This is about her getting away from the devastation and from the rebuilding process, and just going away to just clear her mind and just be at some sort of peace. So that's what this is. We literally stayed on the beach all day. I was so drained by the sun that all I wanted to do was to shower and go to sleep. The next day was our last day there, so we decided to have brunch at the Ruby Slipper. Now, the Ruby Slipper is that restaurant that you must always go to when you visit certain places. I had been to the one in New Orleans, but I wasn't sure if the food was going to be as good, but it was. I thought it would be packed considering it was a Sunday, but it wasn't. We also went in September, which wasn't exactly peak season, so we lucked up there. After brunch, we went back to the beach to get more relaxation in. So before I show you the changes that I made, do you see anything that you would have changed with her story or with this short paragraph that I'm showing you? Remember what the story is about. It's about her getting away from the flood. But the overall theme is surviving the flood of 2016, or working through it. You know, all the things she went through and being able to rebuild and move on. So is there anyone who see anything that you think you would change by reading this short piece? No one?
Lorna,
Yes.
This is Lavilia. I would probably change some of the wording, maybe, I guess, to be more descriptive. Because I'm coming in reading, she knows what she's writing about, but and I know the title, that type of thing. So I may have changed, one or two words or a couple of words so I can. So let's say, for example, and it's just me. Let me see. The next day was our last day there. For me, I would, okay, where is there? Let me see, decide to, okay, and let's say I thought it would be packed considering a Sunday. I may have used a different word than packed,
Okay.
I mean, I know that's how we talk or, communicate. I know what you mean, but I guess, putting in the book, I may have changed the word packed into another word. Maybe a comma here and there.
Right.
He said, so we looked up. So we looked up. I probably changed the word looked up. So I'll just change it up a little bit. I may shorten it, shorten that paragraph.
Right.
But I'll have a little bit more descriptive. So whoever picks it up and read it know exactly what I'm talking about. She knows what she's talking about because she lived it. She's in it. But if I'm coming in fresh and new, I would be, where is there? Last day there, where? She may have mentioned it the first page, but I don't know. I think I would just reiterate where is there. So.
Right. That makes sense. Exactly. Definitely. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes. Diana.
Hi, Diana. Go ahead.
Okay. For me, I think she could have elaborated more about the beach as far as talking about what happened on the beach, and if it was a sunny day, if it was hot, if people on the beach, what she was thinking, maybe some conversation that she had on the beach as well. So I like you said, more be more descriptive,
right?
Instead of that documentary type narrative.
Exactly. So, yeah. And both of you are right.
Yeah.
Definitely. Especially because, like you said, like Lavilia said, and she knows where she is. Now, this piece was taken like in the middle of that chapter, but it still needs, no matter what, you still need to use some type of description, something to show us, to make us feel like we are there. And think about people who live in other areas who probably never, like I've never even been to the Ruby Slipper. So I would like to know what that looks like. If you're going to tell me, if you're going to throw the restaurant out there, at least give me the experience of going there with you. So, but this is the edited version. So she put "we literally," and I just changed that to Mark and I. And I shortened that next sentence. I still use the word literally, but I put literally all day just to emphasize that, like, we were there. So it reads, Mark and I stayed on the beach all day, literally all day. So I just put that there, like I said, just to add more emphasis that it was all day that we were on the beach. I added once we were done, and I'm not going to read this verbatim because I want to read the revised version so you can hear the difference. I just want to go through what I did. So I added once we were done, and I also added "so I did" at the end when she said she wanted to get more sleep. Now, this part, the Ruby Slipper is that restaurant that you must always go to when you visit certain places. I left "I enjoyed," but I took out, I thought it would be packed considering it was a Sunday, but it wasn't. We also went in September, which wasn't exactly peak season, so we looked up there. So does anyone know why I took all of that out of her story? Why do you think I took that out?
I would say you took that part out. I think we packed something. The first sentence she's talking about it being packed, you know, and they wanted to go, that type of thing. But then they did eventually went, and they went. So we're still talking similar to the same sentence, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think we're kind of saying the same thing.
Gotcha.
To a certain extent, if that makes any sense.
It does. I know, like being redundant.
Yeah, but she being redundant in a different way.
Right.
You know? Yeah, so, yeah. But like you said, you know, she's talking about the ruby slipper. And it would have been good if she would have kind of described the food, or that, you know, to make me like, oh, I might want to try it. I might want to go to New Orleans, go to Ruby Slipper, you know, that type thing. So that's my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to guess why I took that part out? Okay. So I took that part out because what is her story about? Her story is about the flood. And this part is her getting away from the flood. But her telling me that it wasn't packed that Sunday and they went during peak season really adds nothing to you.
Okay.
You know, it adds nothing to me understanding what this have to do with the flood. So now I'm going to show you how I went in, and I added all of this. So I'm going to reread it and show you how I went in, and I still kept that she went there, but it made sense why she told us now. Mark and I stayed on the beach all day, literally all day. Once we were done, I was so drained by the sun that all I wanted to do was shower and go to sleep. So I did. The next day, which was our last day, we decided to have brunch at the Ruby Slipper. I enjoyed the one in New Orleans, but I wasn't sure if the food was going to be as good. Thankfully, it was. It didn't take long to dawn on me that my biggest concern in that moment was how well the food would taste. It wasn't mold or moving out furniture. For the first time in months, I was able to relax and think about something other than the problems that awaited me at home. I wanted to savor every minute of this time. So she told us about going to the Ruby Slipper, but we understood why that was significant now, because it was something other than dealing with the flood. So we still put that in there, and we still allowed the audience to feel how everything she had been going through, it felt so good just to have to worry about, is the food going to taste good? Like, that was a relief to only have to worry about, is the food going to taste good? So it still makes sense. You know, it still deals with her going through everything that she's going through, that just tasting this food and just going through this experience is like, oh, thank you. This is all I have to worry about. So that's why I took all of that out, because just telling us you went to the Ruby Slipper, just telling us, you know, you were hoping it wasn't packed and it wasn't because it was peak season, it still didn't add anything, like I said, to the flood and you going through the flood and this being your time of relaxation. That's what we supposed to be talking about, your time of relaxation and getting away from it all. So you have to stick with what you're talking about without adding extra detail, if that makes sense, especially extra detail that's not even about what your story is about. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, how someone telling you a story and they get way off track and they start telling you about something totally different and you like, wait, what does this have to do with that again? That's how I felt when I read that. I'm like, wait a minute, how did we get on the Ruby Slipper? What does this have to do with the flood again? So like I said, I kept that she went, but I added more drama to it, like I said, so that people will understand the significance of the restaurant and the problem of the food, or the problem of, you know, the minor problem. So neither Mark nor I were in a big hurry to get back on the road. After brunch, we went back to the beach. I needed a few more minutes of relaxation. So does everyone understand that? Does it make sense to you why I took that out? Okay, so this is, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, I actually, it felt like I was there with her, and I understood, you know, once the reasons why she wanted to stay and lay over a little bit longer and relaxation, not having to deal with all the, the drama back at home. So
Right.
it actually put me there on the beach with her and Mark. So yeah,
Right. Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. Okay, so this one is my from another client. Now hers is about the loss of her child. So again, this is just a piece of her work, and this is like a middle part, or somewhere toward the beginning, but it's not the very very beginning. So it's not her introducing what's going on. It's just a piece that I took. So her says that evening, and I chose this because do you see how long this paragraph is? Like this was a whole paragraph. But again, it was expected because it's not like she had been through it and understood how to break up paragraphs. But now that she's written this book and we've worked through it, she get it. So for me, it's almost like information overload. If I see, just say you're looking at a blog or a Facebook post and you see this big long paragraph, unless it's just so engaging that you can't stop reading, you will probably keep reading. But for most people, if they see big, long paragraphs, they are not trying to read that because it just looks like too much. So we had to break this up. So I'll show you how I did the editing and how we broke it up. So it says that evening I went to the bathroom and something wasn't right. I contacted the after hours nurse and she reassured me all was well. However, when I called home, my cousin, who was studying to be a nurse, advised that I get dressed and that needed to happen that night. So plan number 3, the plan that went through went into action. I arrived back to Baton Rouge very early in the morning, maybe between 2 and 3 a.m. We stopped at my mom's to get my medical records and to get my medical records and that must have been a mistake. And my mom, oh no, and my mom, we thought, and then, to get my medical records. You see how that reads? So I had to go back and reread it again. So you have to be very careful with your wording because again, this is an unedited version. So if I was writing a rough draft, it would probably look something like this because it hadn't been edited or read through again. Now, had she put it away for a while and came back, she probably would have picked up on that if, once she tried to read it. And when you do revise, read it out loud because it's a lot different than reading in your head. And print it out and read it on paper. I know it's going to be a lot of paper, so you may want to go to Office Depot or something if you have a very, very long rough draft. But it's better to read it on something different than what you wrote it on because that, it looks different. So you'll read different. Okay, so she said, I arrived back to Baton Rouge to get my medical records and my mom, we thought. And then we would head to the hospital. As we were leaving, my cousin said, "Come on, KK." And she responded very sternly, "I'm not going to the hospital. Nothing is wrong. Keisha will be okay. She needs to learn to listen. She doesn't know everything. I told her not to go. Y'all can take her, but I'm not going." And about 39% of the time, my mother means what she says. She did not come with us. We get to the hospital for my checkup, which resulted in admission. They only wanted to monitor me. I was checked in, situated in a room, and placed on a monitor. 30 minutes later, the hospital room door opened. The nurse walked in and said, "All right, we're about to have a baby." I looked up like clearly she is in the wrong room. I laughed a little and said, "No, I'm not due until next month. They are just monitoring me." She corrected me. "Yes, you are going to go ahead and yes, we are going to go ahead and take him. It's nothing to worry about. It's just that you have been on the monitor for about 30 minutes and he has not moved. We think he may be in a sleep cycle, but we will take him just to be sure. It will be fine." I remember her words like yesterday was the morning of October 29, 2005. I looked over at my cousin and said, "Call my mom." So that was her original unedited version. So then I went through and made these changes. So instead of that evening, I put later that. So later that evening. And then I added some words and I took out some words and I was trying to see one that I really wanted to point out to you all. But one thing, and I don't know if she did it or if it was in the last one, see how she put, well, I'm just say contractions. we speak in contractions. Most people speak in contractions. So when you're writing, especially if it's a dialogue, if you're saying what someone said, most of the time, people are not going to say, we are going to the store. We are going to get some, we're going to say we're going to the store, you're not going to say, they are over there. You're going to say they're over there. So you write how people actually speak because it sounds more realistic, less robotish, we are not robots. We don't speak like that. So write it how they actually talk. So that was a lot that I had to do because remember, these are ladies who are educated women and they are used to writing papers. And when you're in school, you can't use contractions in a academic paper. So they were applying that to their book, but this isn't an academic read. This is an informational, yes, but also enjoyable. So you don't want to use a whole lot of you want to use contractions is what I meant to say. So I took out a lot of stuff, and you all will get this, so we don't have to read through all of this. But this is the revised version. Later that evening, I went to the bathroom at my best friend's apartment. Something wasn't right. Panicking, I contacted my doctor's after-hours nurse in Baton Rouge. She reassured me all was well, but it didn't feel like all was well to me. I called my cousin, who at the time was an LPN studying to be an RN. She advised me to get assessed, and that needed to happen that night in Baton Rouge. I'm sorry, I'm trying to move this. Not nakedish. I arrived in Baton Rouge early the next morning. I stopped at my mom's house to get my medical records. As we were leaving, my cousin stopped and looked back at my mom, who was still standing in the same place I found her. Come on, KK, my cousin motioned for my mom to follow us. My mom looked at her and sternly responded, I'm not going to the hospital. Nothing's wrong with Keisha. Nothing's wrong. Keisha will be okay. She needs to learn to listen. She doesn't know everything. I told her not to go. Y'all can take her, but I'm not going. About 99% of the time, when my mother says something, she means it. And this time was no different. There was no time to try and change her mind. Not that we could anyway. I had to get to the hospital. We arrived for my checkup, which unexpectedly resulted in admission. I was checked in and placed on a monitor. My cousin and I got as comfortable as we could get in a hospital room with the monitors beeping all around us and the temperature set to winter. My body was tired and I finally closed my eyes, but that was short-lived. 30 minutes later, the nurse walked in and stood next to my bed. All right, we are about to have a baby. I didn't change that, but I should have. She announced. I looked around to see who she was talking to. Clearly, she was in the wrong room. Guess she was just as tired as I was. I laughed at her mistake. I'm not doing till next month. They're just monitoring me, I explained. I waited for her to apologize for the mix-up and to leave to find her real patient, but she didn't move, nor did she apologize. Instead, she corrected me. I know, but we're going to go ahead and take him. There's nothing to worry about. It's just that you've been on the monitor for about 30 minutes and he hasn't moved. We think he may be in a sleep cycle, but the doctor wants to take him just to be sure. It'll be fine. To this day, I can clearly hear her words as if she just spoken them. It was the morning of October 29, 2005. I looked over at my cousin, who was just as shocked by the announcement as I was, and made one simple yet very important request. Call my mom was all I could say. So do you see how, now I'm going to go back to the first one. So do you see how I took this and broke it up? Oh, I'm going the wrong way. So I took this and broke it up to this. So it's not one, just to the eyes, it looks different. To the eyes, it doesn't seem as, and this may because it takes up so much of the screen and because I added so much detail. So it is longer, but it's not all one big, huge, long paragraph. So that's what you have to make sure you don't do. If you find that your paragraph is getting too long, you're going to have to break it up. Now, remember, again, like I told you all last session, this is when you start revising. This is not while you are writing now. The reason I'm telling it to you now is because when you do get to the point where you're revising it, I want you to remember that. I want you to remember and think about things you like to read. Think about how you like it to look. Think about stories that you read, and not only long paragraphs, but also long sentences. Do not have long sentences. You know, a lot of times I don't even like to use what do you call those things? I'm saying y'all been out of school too long. I don't like to use like and, but, or. I don't like to use those. I like to just start a whole new sentence because it just reads better. You know, and that depends on the situation. It's not all the time, but sometimes I like to just break the sentence up and just make a whole new sentence. Like I said, it just reads better. So those were the two that I was able to critique and bring on here tonight from two of my clients. I'm trying to see if I had anything. Nope, I didn't have anything after that because, like I said, I really wanted to spend a lot of time going through things that I saw from you all, and really the three people that sent theirs in, those were the mistakes that I saw. I saw that there were extra long paragraphs. I saw that it was another thing that I saw a lot of, which hold on, let me stop this. Another thing that I saw a lot of, which, like I said again, is to be expected. One thing is, I have no idea what you look like if I don't know you. I have no idea what you look like. So you know, tell us something about you. Tell us something about, and don't just, don't treat your readers like they are a detective trying to solve a crime. Do not tell us, if you're introducing a new character, don't just list, oh, he was about 5'6", he had blue eyes, he had brown hair, he had, don't just list it. Make it make sense. You weave it into your story. So let's just say you were talking about your mom, okay? And let's just say your mom is let's say she has dreadlocks, and let's say she's a heavyset lady. Okay, let's just say those things. Okay, so I wouldn't just say my mom has dreadlocks, and she's heavyset, and she loves the soap operas. I wouldn't just list it. It would make sense why I'm telling you this. So if I said, I could hear my mom walking across I could hear my mom heavy footsteps walking across the floor. So, people may think, okay, well, she may be a little on the heavy side if her footsteps are so heavy. Or my mom's brown and highlighted dreadlocks hung down her back as she was, I can't think of anything right off, but allow it to make sense. Don't, like I said, don't just tell it to us. Tell it to us in a way that we understand, because otherwise it's like, why are you telling us this again? So tell it to us in a way that it makes sense. Oh, that's, not only are you giving us information, but we can also figure out how these people look. I'm trying to think of something that would really show you, what I'm talking about. So let's say you walked in and your mom was laying in the bed. I don't know why I keep using mom. But anyway, let's say you walked in, your mom was laying in the bed. Okay, you wouldn't say, I walked in the room, my mom was laying in the bed watching the soap opera. People can probably see that, but can you really see that? Or could you see it better if I walked in the room and found my mom twisting her golden dreads into a bun? She didn't pay attention to me because her eyes was so focused on, or you can say her brown eyes. Her brown eyes was so focused on her soap operas. So you're telling us what she looked like, but you're also telling us what she's doing. And we can see that you walked in, your mom is twisting her hair and she's looking straight ahead and she's not even paying attention to you. So like I said, it makes sense that you would say that, but it's also not like you just rattling off descriptions. So that's one thing. Make sure you tell us about these people. Make sure you tell us about you. You know, if you're an emotional person, we need to see that. We need to see that you cried the drop of a hat, you know. And another thing, whenever, I think I mentioned this before, but whenever you change locations, you start a new chapter. So if I went from my house and now I'm in a restaurant, well, that's a whole new chapter because I've changed locations. So those are the things that I saw with the submissions that I received. Those, the two main things was I didn't get a clear picture of how anyone looked, and it was just one whole chapter after the scene change. And make sure when the time change, when the date change, okay, remember your readers do not know. And this is a real life story. So if 5 months pass, you need to let them know that 5 months have passed. Every time something changes, you need to let your readers know that a change is taking place so that they're not lost, you know, because you can't expect them to just assume. So while you're doing your rough draft, tell too much information because you can always take it out. Even if you're not sure if this information needs to go in there, tell it anyway, because here's what happens. And that's why with the rough draft, it's important to just write, because the more you write, more ideas may come to you. Not may, will. More ideas will come to you. So writing one thing, even though you may not need it, may spark or may cause you to remember, may trigger a memory for another thing. So if it comes in your head, write it. You can always delete it. Do not worry about deleting it while you're doing your rough draft. Delete it when you go back and edit it, revise it. So I hope that makes sense. So do you all have any questions for me? It's only 7:40. We have about 20 more minutes. But like I said, I wanted to spend a lot of time going through your things. And those are, like I said, the two main things I saw from those. If you want to send me your, if you did not send your submission, if you want to send it tonight or tomorrow, I can still read through it and send you your critique. And there may be other things that may come out that I may see by Thursday. So that's really the assignment. The assignment for tonight was to continue adding to your writing. Continue working on whatever it was you were working on. And the ones that I read were very good starts. Like, please keep going. Keep going while the ideas are fresh in your mind and while you're in that mode. Keep writing. So does anyone have any questions for me? Or anything I may have said that you need me to elaborate more on?
Lorna, this is Lavilia. So, yeah, I was one of the ones that did not submit my assignment.
That's fine.
So, with the assignment, I remember vaguely you were saying about using postcards. And what my, I guess my issue would be is so many things I would want to write about. Like I have like 3 different titles of 3 different, I kind of have my titles already for the 3 different types of books I would want to write, each 3 different paths. So how do I pick one of those to just start writing a draft on? And then what was your exact assignment? I know you mentioned postcards. So,
so what I wanted you to do, remember you did your memory list where you just wrote down everything that came to mind when you thought about whichever one. So with the memory list, you were putting those on postcards so that you can put them in order, because that's going to be your outline. It's like a different way of outlining without writing it down. So it's almost like a timeline.
Okay.
And so what you are going to do is just take one event, and just start writing about that. It didn't matter if it was the first thing that you remember, the middle thing, or the last thing. Just pick one event that came to mind and start writing about that.
Okay.
And as far as the 3 different, so the 3 different is 3 totally different stories you're saying?
Yes, it's 3 totally different stories.
So what you have to decide is which one speaks to you the most. Like, which one do you, if you could only tell one of these 3 stories, which one would you really definitely want to tell? And
Okay.
that's what, so whichever one is really tugging at you the most, that's the one you're going to have to go. That's the one I would suggest you go ahead and get out.
Okay. Okay.
So if you could, have you started writing any of it?
Yes, I have, and I'm gonna have to pull it because I started writing a little bit about it before when we had our side conversations a couple of months ago.
Right.
So I was writing then, but then it kind of shifted as far as, oh, you know what, I could write about this too. This tugs on the heart. I think this is gonna be a great story. Oh, well, what about this one? Because it's like three major events in my life.
Gotcha.
That I would want to tell a story about, and all of them, ironically, is equally important. But I truly believe, like you said, that memory list and the postcards, and just write, because I got loads of postcards that I can write on, and then pick one of those, and then at least I'll have some type of guide. And then even with the examples that you provided tonight, kind of helped me as well. I was like, okay, well, yeah, I understand about, the new chapter. And when you're talking about, okay, years later or after so many months went by, that type of thing. Okay, that's kind of like a caption to make people, oh, okay, this, it is a couple of months went by. Now what happened? That type of thing. So, yeah.
Exactly. And the thing is, even if, just say, you writing a chapter and you forget to tell them how much time has passed. You forget to tell them anything. That's what the editor is for, because your editor will pick up on that. Your editor will say, well, wait a minute, right? You were just right here. And in this chapter, it's talking about something totally, like, what happened? How much time has passed between these two chapters? So you really have to give your reader something, especially if it was a time change. You really have to let them know that this time has gone by, so it'll make sense to them. Like if you still, or if because I've read stories where and not professionally edited stories, but I've had clients who sent in stories, and one was about a loss. So in one chapter we were dealing with the loss and everything, but in the next chapter it was about the loss of a boyfriend. But in the next chapter it was a dating chapter. So it's like, wait,
okay,
didn't you just lose your boyfriend? And what? But it was years later. But she didn't say that.
Okay.
So it looked like she just went into another relationship, so you really have to let them know so they're not lost and they're not left to assume anything. You never want your reader to have to assume. You want them to know.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? If not, we will end 15 minutes early, which means you all can get started on your writing if you have not gotten started on your writing. And for those of you who have gotten started, please look at your email, read through what I wrote on your critiques, and please continue. Because the goal of this session is not only to give you the information, but to also, if you get in the momentum of writing, it will become a habit. Once you see that, okay, I can do this. I can sit down and get this done. You all carved out an hour every Tuesday and Thursday for this class. If you can do the same thing for your writing, you will be finished with your book before you know it. So it's a matter of just making the time. The time is not going to recreate itself. Unfortunately, we can't control it. We can't slow it down or speed it up. All we can do is control what we do with the time that we have. So I would highly suggest, since you've already gotten used to pulling yourself away and being in these sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays for an hour, I would suggest using that time to continue writing if possible, for when possible, because make that set that appointment. You have to make appointments with yourself, and the appointments you make with yourself, must be just as important as the appointments you make with your doctor, with other people. You know, you have to be just as important. Of course, your doctor's for you as well, but you and your book need to be just as important. So make your appointment with yourself and keep your appointment with yourself. So if there's nothing else, I will let you go, and we will meet back on Thursday, same time, same place. So you all have a very blessed night.